Hello everyone. Through the Just BS 101 series, I am making an honest attempt to share a few snippets of my learnings from the business of sports. Today, let's talk about managing fan campaigns. What are fan campaigns? In some previous videos, we have talked about the criticality for sports organizations to invest in own digital assets like websites or apps. But once these assets are live, how do you get fans to become aware about them? How do you keep retaining fans over these assets week over week and month over month? That's where fan campaigns come into the picture. Fan campaigns are essentially omni-channel communications across different modalities like push notifications, emails, SMS, WhatsApp, etc. that are aimed specifically to either get someone onto your website or app or to retain them, engage them, keep them hooked, for the lack of a better phrase. Now, how do you manage this at massive scale? How do you, let's say, productize this entire experience of running these fan campaigns? And this is where the SPEAR approach comes into the picture. What does SPEAR stand for? Segment, plan, engage, analyze, report, and then you repeat the entire cycle over and over again. With that understanding, let's now try to dive deeper into each of these 5 segments of the SPEAR approach. Starting with stage 1, segment. Not every fan is alike. There are different categories or cohorts of fans that you can define based on various attributes that we know in the first party fan database. How do you create the best possible groupings of fans such that you can uniquely target different segments in very, very different ways? There are 2 key aspects to consider. One, fan profile data, or do we understand who these fans are? Where do they come from? Where do they live? Etc. Secondly, fan behavior data. What do these fans do online? Do they watch videos? Do they buy tickets? Do they play games? Etc. Now, with that understanding of various segments of fans, the next stage is to plan. Now, what do we plan? We know that there are certain segments of fans that we want to target. There are 2 key aspects to consider when it comes to planning of these campaigns. One, message cadence. How often do we want to reach out to fans? Is it once a week or is it maybe thrice a day when it is a match day? Second, message tonality. What kind of creative framework are we going to be putting to use when it comes to the texture of the messaging, the way we are communicating the narrative that we want to get across to the fans? Now, once we're done with the planning, the next stage is to actually engage fans through these fan campaigns. What are top 2 aspects to consider when it comes to this stage? One, channel selection. What channels do we put to use to ensure optimal reach, best response rates across different segments of fans based on previous history of what we've experienced? And second, personalization type. How do we make the same message far more impactful by plugging in various levers of personalization like their names, their favorite players, their vernacular language, etc.? Now let's imagine that campaigns have gone live and they've reached fans at scale across different channels. And fans also have now started to respond to these campaigns by either clicking through, figuring out what's inside, or choosing to ignore what we've sent them. It's important for us to have a tight control over these response metrics to really understand what's working, what's not working. How can we get better when it comes to the next tranche of campaigns that are to go live? Now, what are the top 2 aspects to consider when it comes to this particular stage of analyzing responses? One, cohort CTRs. Which groups have responded the best to our campaigns? We started with segmenting. Let's say there are 5 different segments that we targeted. Are the CTR ratios for, let's say, segment A better than segment C? And if so, why? For example. Second, A-B testing. For one particular segment A, we chose to send 2 different kinds or 2 different variations of campaigns, variation A and variation B. Which one has performed better for that particular segment? All of these are great inputs for a campaign manager to keep learning, keep iterating as we move on. And finally, one of the most key aspects of running successful campaign operations is to be able to report your results in the most intuitive and the most clear manner. How do we do that? One, very important lens for any client or any organization to have is budgeted versus actual. What did we target and where are we against those targets? How are we faring against targets? Very natural to imagine that. And second, week over week movement. Are we improving over time or not? So maybe it takes time for us to figure out what the right tonality is, what the right cohorting strategy is. So maybe we are not hitting the targets in the first week or two. But then if you are seeing a good week over week trend that is increasing in the positive direction, I think that compensates for our effort and really helps us build conviction that we're heading in the right direction. And in the end of, let's say, the year or the season, we would be in a good shape to actually also hit the targets. So coming back, I think the ability to structure campaigns and operations in this manner and also then have the meticulous rigor to really break down every component, analyze it deeply, and fasten the process of learning and iterating over time is what I believe makes us successful when it comes to running fan campaigns. Hope you found that useful. Stay tuned for more.